Hello, you filthy heathens. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Southern Heathens Podcast. I am Ubba Humerson. Alongside me is Robin Tierson. And how you doing, man?
Oh, man, it's been a long time, but I'm doing great.
Man, it has been a long time, guys. And long story short, a lot of stuff's happened. He'll go into more detail about that in a second. But, hey, we're happy to be back. Season 2.
Oh, yeah, Season 2. Man, we left it off on a strong note. But, before we get started, we do have we have TikTok now. You can find us at the Southern Heathens on TikTok. Of course, we have our Facebook. We have YouTube. We're available on all the major streaming platforms for podcasts. So just give us follows, and subscriptions, and, just hit that notification bell, and you'll know whenever we post new content. A week or two ago, a little over a week ago, I lost my grandmother. That was pretty rough, and my dad is pretty sick with cancer, so took that time to kind of get my head on straight.
Yeah, understandable, man, and I'm pretty sure the listeners can understand that too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not the only one that's been through something like that, but my head wasn't in the right spot, so didn't get to where we needed to be.
Well, we're back on track, and things are looking up, especially for your dad.
Oh yeah, he's getting a lot better,
which is good to hear.
Yeah, so pretty interesting stuff. We have expanded our listenership to some pretty major areas. So I'm going to pull up that information. Right now, we have listeners in the Czech Republic, the United Kingdom, Romania, Belgium, Colombia, Germany, Australia, the Netherlands, Serbia, Canada, and the United States. Of course, mostly the United States is where our listenership's coming from. Just thank you so much for tuning in and being part of our journey. We've even reached New York City, the Big Apple.
Yeah, the Big Apple, man.
The Big Apple. Las Vegas, Nevada. Belgrade.
Yeah, Belgrade, their capital.
We have listeners all, Australia.
Yeah.
That's quite a ways away. But yeah, thank you all for your support, and it just means a lot to us.
Yeah, I just want to give thanks to you guys. Like that does mean a lot, and sorry, that does mean a lot. I don't know if that sounded bad, but it does mean a lot, though. And it's crazy to think that, we're reaching all these people and stuff. We're just but some people might think we're just, a couple hillbillies, from the American South.
Well, I mean,
and it's I don't know. It's just a stereotype, I guess, in some areas. But if people are listening, I guess who fucking cares?
Yeah, I mean, I think the content we offer is entertaining and informative. Of course, we're not perfect. We don't know everything.
Yeah, we don't claim to know everything either.
The Southern Heathens Podcast is proudly sponsored by WoodovWyrd. WoodovWyrd is an Etsy shop owned by TikTok and Instagram user Witches Brew. With crafts like wood burns and spell jars, as well as custom orders, you can find exactly what you need for all of your witchy and pagan needs. From one-of-a-kind spell jars to any wood burn design, WoodovWyrd is always up to the task. WoodovWyrd is always up and running and ships orders promptly. Any custom order requests can be messaged directly to Witches Brew via social media or through her email. Links can be found in her Etsy shop. Go to etsy.com/shop/WoodovWyrd to find out more. That's etsy.com/shop/WoodovWyrd. We're going to go into this topic. It's kind of like a brosatru thing to act all high and mighty because we have a podcast and because we're reaching all these people.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't make us better than anybody else. We're just telling people about our experiences, about what we know, what we feel, and what we've been through. Nor do we want to be like somebody's leader or chieftain or anything just because we reach all these people. It's not really who we are.
Yeah, like I said, we're just two dudes on a spiritual journey with the gods, like everyone else is, and especially in this lifetime and the life after next. Again, guys, thank you, and to everyone, to some people who might think that we would act high and mighty above all, you're wrong, because we're just two normal people, have normal jobs. We're not rich, definitely far from it.
Yeah, I mean, we're rich in experience and life experience. We're rich in our spirituality.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I mean, we don't need the materialistic things as much as we don't subscribe to that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
But how about How about our show rankings?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the least viewed episode, which we both thought was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And this is another reason, most likely because of Brosatrues. I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. You know, I definitely hope more people listen to that episode to, I guess, come across some actual facts. You know, and you guys probably guessed it. It's the episode called "Are There Still Vikings?"
Yeah.
And clearly there isn't. Sorry, you can go ahead.
Go ahead.
And clearly there isn't. And we definitely go across that episode, you know, not just claiming it, but, you know, factually speaking, there is no such thing as Vikings anymore. We don't live 1,000 years ago.
Right.
We're, you know, in the modern age, you can call it.
Yeah, having Scandinavian blood, Nordic blood, doesn't make you a Viking. Now, if you go out and you pillage and you sail across the sea and
steal people's shit,
yeah, and go on war and conquest, and you're a Viking.
I guess.
I even mentioned in that episode, and I said the word wrong. I said Sumerian pirates. Obviously, the Somalian pirates.
Yeah.
You know, they would be closer to a Viking than any Norse pagan would be.
Yeah, I guarantee that. I agree.
But yeah, we only had 14% listenership on that. Our highest rating was the introductory episode, followed by religion versus spirituality, which I guess people really like that type of episode. But just for anybody that wants to know, in case you're interested, I probably will do a repost this season of Are There Still Vikings? So you're going to hear it one way or the other.
Yeah, because I feel like that's one thing that like people do need to get across, like, and know as a pagan. You know, it'd be the same thing if you were a Greek pagan or a Roman pagan. You're not a Roman soldier, and you're not a Spartan or an Athenian warrior. You know, you're not those. We're you know, folks that believe in the gods, and we're trying to, I guess, not saying that paganism necessarily died, but at the same time, we're still trying to reintroduce it. And in some cases, people are trying to reconstruct it as a whole. Which that's a whole nother topic we can go into in another episode. Yeah, guys, tell us what you think. And yeah, he's going to repost that, and that's going to be hilarious. And what people say.
You'll never know which episode it's going to be, but I will repost it. Our next topic, it was actually kind of like a request from a good friend of mine, and I'm going to give him a shout out. He's a local DJ. His name's Scooter. He's the owner and operator of the Hot AC radio station here in Alcorn County. And really, you can pull that radio station up anywhere that you can stream live with internet access. So it's actually really cool. But he wanted to know the origins of the word pagan, like where did that come from? And so we compiled a little bit of information here, and we're happy to share that with our listeners.
Yeah, you want to go for it?
Yeah. So the origin of the word pagan is a late Latin word, and I might butcher it. Paganus. So basically, you know, it was used at the end of the Roman Empire era to name those that didn't practice a religion like Christianity. So the Abrahamic religions. It's anybody that wasn't a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim. And
another thing to that would be before the late Roman Empire, when Rome was still pagan, it often was also referred to someone as a country dweller or civilian or peasant, I guess would be another good word.
It started out as somebody that was kind of like on the lower side of society, the poorer people, like farmers, poor farmers, stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. For anyone that doesn't know, that I have a new dog, a new part of the family, and his name's Thane for the Scottish title, you know, the Anglo-Saxon Scottish title rather. But yeah, he's a border collie mix, and he is running around the yard crazy right now.
I don't see anything in the yard.
He got really distracted. Crazy. Sorry about that. But yeah, you know, just the poorer people were considered pagan. So in the later part, when Rome became Christianized, they started referring to pagans as people that were Christians. So that's really why, and we've kind of embraced it. So
you mean people that weren't Christians?
So what did I say?
He said people that were.
Well, I mean,
it's all good.
Whatever the fuck.
I just don't want to confuse the listeners.
Yeah, that too.
But another word that we often refer to is heathen, or refer to ourselves as heathens. And for anyone that doesn't know, what it usually meant in earlier Roman times was people of the heaths. mostly referring to Germanic tribes, kind of like country dwellers, again, just like pagan.
Right.
But over the years, it became more of a term that Christians will use as a person who's irreligious or hedonistic, uncivilized or strange, barbaric kind of stuff.
Right.
And so, in this case too, people are to go up to you nowadays, right? Especially, we live in the Bible Belt, and they ask you, "Oh, do you go to church?" And you say no, and like, "Oh, you're not religious?" Be like, "No, we are religious." However, what I'm gonna not lead with, I'm not gonna lead with saying I'm a heathen, because I'm not gonna judge. I usually don't try to judge a person, judge a book by its cover. However, when you're in an area like this, it's not a bad thing to assume that they probably have no idea what it actually means to us, especially. So I usually just refer to it as Norse pagan or Germanic pagan, and say, hey, I worship the old gods, and not Marvel movies or anything. I mean, like, the gods worshipped thousands of years well before Christ.
Right. When you do mention Odin, Thor, and stuff like that, they do automatically assume that, oh, you've watched the Marvel movies, now you think you're worshiping some fantastical gods that just don't exist. The Germanic religions, the tribes and all these traditions are much older than Christianity.
Very much so.
So these stories, these as some would call them, and I don't refer to as, but these some would call mythologies, they predate the founding of the Christian church by thousands of years, if you actually look at the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a Marvel movie ploy. We practice a very ancient and very fulfilling spirituality.
Yes, and it's not necessarily the exact same as the ancestors. Obviously it's thousands of years old, and it obviously changes through time too.
Right.
Because even our ancestors from 2,000 years ago, they probably practiced a different form of their spirituality as opposed to their ancestors a couple thousand years even before that.
And a lot of people don't really think about it, but Christianity, the Abrahamic religions, are more mainstream, but there are major pagan religions still today that people still follow, and that's including Norse and Germanic paganism. And we have like Greco-Roman paganism. So I guess when you learn about the Greeks and the Romans, the Romans really appropriated a lot of the Greek mythologies and brought it into their belief systems. I guess they thought it was just so inspiring.
Yeah, and all the when Rome was built, obviously there was a bunch of different tribes, I guess you could say, that were involved in it. One thing too, we have Egyptian, Celtic, and whatnot. And today, people don't necessarily realize it, but there's quite a few pagans from all those religions that still have practiced this for a long time. Like, I know in Greece, I think it was 2016 that Greece actually officially recognized Greek paganism, or the old Greek religion, as an official religion of Greece, which I think I might have mentioned in another episode, but for those who haven't heard it, yes, they have, and honestly, it's awesome to see. Right. And I think Roman paganism too is building up in other in Latin countries and whatnot, and even here in the U.S. I just read something today about a temple being built and whatnot, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, what is that organization? The Society for the Protection of Polytheism.
Yeah.
Now, there's also, and this is a bit of a subject of contention between the two of us, which is Hinduism. Now, if you talk about the actual definition of paganism nowadays, which is derived from how they started using it and how it's been accepted, Hindus would be considered pagan because they're not Christian religion, correct?
See, that's where I kind of disagree on it. Now, I'm not denying the fact that the word pagan itself has changed throughout the years and whatnot, but even in the old definition of it, I mean, they still had temples. There were still cities built around their gods, and also too, and you can look this up, and I've read from Hindu temples themselves, like technically they worship different gods, but they were all aspects of one god.
Yeah, the same god.
So,
but I mean, but paganism has nothing to do with polytheism or monotheism. Aside from a pagan being just a peasant, a pagan is a practitioner of a religion that is not of Christianity, Judaism, or Muslim, correct?
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
So Hindus would be pagan.
I guess I just tie it so much into monotheism, even though it might not even be considered monotheism. It might be monism or another word for it. I forgot. But that's, I guess, where we can just disagree. Because I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, not saying
the definition supports me,
but,
is all I'm saying.
But it's definitely a subject, Hinduism itself. It's kind of hard to like touch up on, like, especially if we're going back and forth like this. You know, it's not a black and white. It's a very gray area. Right. That's why I think it's, you know, a willing discussion. And also, for those who don't know, it's probably the oldest religion, technically, that is still remained.
Yeah, that's kind of mainstream almost.
Yeah,
you know, with the number of practitioners and all.
Yeah,
that.
Not saying that ours died, but theirs, you know, the Hindus, especially in India, a lot of them are, to this day, are, I guess you could say, fighting back against Islam because they're trying to convert a lot of their people, and they're resisting that.
And you do see, and I don't know if it's because Muslims haven't really adapted with the modern times, but you see a lot of Muslim churches, or what do you call it? Mosques. Okay, yeah. Their leaders are still very old school, so it's convert or die.
In some places, I would say so. I can't speak for, you know, everywhere.
You know, they talk about the infidel and how, you know, if they don't convert, then they should, you know, they should lose their life or be beheaded or, you know, whatnot and so forth. You see that a lot in a lot of Abrahamic faiths, and not so much with Judaism or Christianity anymore, but you do see a lot of other types of contention with other religions from them.
Very much so. And yeah, I mean, this isn't like bashing, you know, every Muslim,
these are just facts.
Because I've had, you know, Muslim friends, so it's just on the religion itself. It's the same thing with Christianity. Like, I have my two best friends are Christian.
Right.
You know, I have no problem with that.
I find my issues more with the organization itself than I do the people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, a big point that people have to realize too, because I've seen people online just go bash, you know, other religions for no good reason. Especially like if someone posts, because I have friends, you know, post like Bible quotes on Facebook or something. Yeah. You know, what does it actually achieve when I go on there and say, oh, that's bullshit because this, that, and the third? You know, it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Or, you know, what's that, it's a phrase from a movie. It's like, you sit on a throne of lies.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, it accomplishes nothing. So really I just want the folks to know that when we say these things, it's, you know, we're going off factual stuff, and it's not to personally bash those different faiths. Because, honestly, let's be real. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, they'll probably never go away. And that's fine. I think as pagans, people just need to realize that and not so much care. Like, unless it, like, actually harms them, like, unless we go back to, like, the crusading times, you know, like, okay, that's a little bit different, but we're definitely far past that.
Right. But speaking of religions that have appropriated things from other cultures and religions, Wicca. I'm kidding, not kinda. But no. I mean, they are technically considered pagan.
They are.
It's very new age, though. Very new age.
Very much.
Very cringy.
I think it started out in, the 1970s or something
like that. And it was founded by some man named... we should have Googled it before we started this. But, you know, hey, this is our first episode back, and we're having fun with it. If y'all don't like it, subscribe anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just different. We could even go about it on another episode. I know we kind of bash it sometimes, but...
Yeah. And, you know, it's all in good fun. I have some Wiccan friends that are just amazing, you know? And, of course, I don't believe what they believe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in the threefold law. I don't believe, you know, stuff like that. But that really brings up kind of toxic paganism, like, you know, but we're better than you because of this, or we're better than you because of that. Pagan religions, especially if you get like a Norse or Germanic pagan with a Slavic pagan or a Celtic pagan together, we have so much in common. We get along so well.
Yeah, and it's we were just talking about this the other day too, because I've been interested in reading about more Roman and a little more Roman than Greek polytheism, but I've been interested in reading it a lot more. And I know someone said something about Norse paganism and also other pagan religions in general, looking upon like your ancestry and what your ancestors believed, and kind of using tools from each branch to kind of fill in the pieces. And I thought that was very informative because I think, people should, especially from Greek and Roman paganism, and also Egyptian paganism, we have a lot more knowledge on that than we do Norse and Germanic, easily.
Yeah, what did Jackson Crawford say? We have like 5%.
Yeah, like 5% or less, something like that.
Yeah, and that 5% is very informative, though. It's very powerful.
Yeah, very informative. But the other ones have way more. There's books. You learn about them in school. They're some of the first gods that most of us, at least I can say, I learned about Zeus and Hercules and all that. Growing up.
Let's think about it this way, though. Do you think that maybe because, and the fact of the matter is you do see the evidence of this, that a lot of Abrahamic religions have appropriated Norse culture so much that it's just bled through, and what we see in their practices and beliefs are technically what the Norse and Germanic people practiced and believed, and it's so ingrained in Christian and Abrahamic culture that it's considered theirs and not ours.
I would say to a certain degree, I would say on like the religious context, yes. And being true to their beliefs, yes. Like offerings, rituals,
right.
Certain ceremonies, times of the year and whatnot.
Especially Catholics.
Yeah, Catholics do definitely have a lot of pagan roots.
Saint Brigid was literally a Celtic goddess.
I have a theory on that too, by the way. Not just on her or him. I don't know if it's a her or him.
Her, yeah.
Her, sorry. You said goddess. I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, I did.
But I have a theory on that Catholicism took gods and basically made them saints, patron
That's
saints.
not a theory. That's fact.
Yeah, okay, if it is, then yes, that is my theory. Yeah. So, you can go into a huge Catholic church or an old one and just see the statues of, Saint Michael or something like that.
The thought process was, from the early Catholic Church, was we're having such a hard time getting these heathens to convert, and they're not happy. They're fighting us and all that. It would make them more comfortable with something they're more familiar with.
Yeah.
So to canonize a goddess or a god from a pagan religion into their sainthood, it's almost like you're still worshiping your god or goddess, but just kind of on a lesser echelon than, of course, the great all-powerful Doodly Daddy.
Yeah, Skyfather, Sky Daddy.
Yeah, that guy.
Something like that. Though we know the real one is, it's Zeus. Yeah. He's definitely a Sky Daddy.
Yeah, he's a Sky Daddy. Yeah.
But, yeah, on that topic, I definitely agree with you on that.
Right. And, that's not even up for debate. That is literally, you've seen that happen within history. They've done that. And the church can deny it all they'd like. But when you see the Celtic people, the Druids and whatnot, that worship these beings before the takeover, before the conversion, and then all of a sudden a being with the same name but with saint in front of it, and now they're standing in a church with their fingers up and all this and that whatnot. Mm-hmm. You're not fooling anybody. It's clear what you've done.
Well, they fooled quite a lot of people.
Well, the thing is they didn't really fool them. I think the people were like, yeah, they're recognizing my deity now, so now I'm more comfortable going in there.
Well, that's a fair point too. Yeah.
And and I think the fact that we're seeing such a resurgence of paganism these days. The polytheists are coming out of the woodworks. We're everywhere, and it's just we're growing and growing. It's getting bigger and bigger to the point where the Abrahamic religions are no longer going to be dominant and mainstream, probably within our lifetime.
I agree on that. Yeah, I definitely think polytheism itself is just coming back. And, even though we cringe sometimes at Brosatrews and Wiccans and stuff, whatever, to a certain degree, I also don't disagree with them because they're still pagans at the end of the day. And as long as they're not, horrible people, if they might act like a douchebag or something, whatever, but nonetheless, that's still another pagan, another heathen, whoever they are, that is, involved in this faith.
Right.
And that's, you're going to have your bad apples. It doesn't matter what profession you're in, what religion you're in, whatever, what life you lead. There's going to be some bad apples.
Right.
But for us right now, I think it's important that we have true heathens, of course, but again, our numbers are definitely catching up.
Yeah. And there's no doubt that the Brosatrew heathens are very passionate.
Yeah, I
You know,
definitely do think they're passionate, maybe just a little bit misguided.
I would say more than a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've seen more change their ways with conversation.
Yeah,
than
that's
bashing
a very
who they
good
are.
thing.
And
And that also goes too, guys, with what I was saying earlier about the whole like bashing Christians and Muslims and whatnot if they say something on Facebook. Like, especially if they're not bashing you and they just post like a Bible quote or a quote from the Quran. Like, there's no need to do that. That makes no sense, and it doesn't help our case either. Because at the end of the day, again, this isn't a crusade for pagans, and this isn't a crusade for Christians, Muslims, or Jews. We're all just trying to coexist here. You know, and I know it sounds kind of like a hippie thing or whatever, but it's the truth.
I think the issue that we see more often than not is the problem. The problem would be that there are more Christians that do that to us than we do to them.
Yeah.
So I think instinctively, some people are a little jumpy. So when they see something like that, they instinctively try to become aggressive or they try to defend themselves when there's no need. Mm-hmm. If they don't approach you and they're not being overly aggressive or passive aggressive or anything like that, just let them live their life the way they want to live it, as long as they don't step on your toes. When they step on your toes, then yeah, you can tell them all day long what you feel and how it is. Mm-hmm. But other than that, live and let live.
Yeah, I've talked to many Christians, and I have a lot of my best friends who are. Their families are all, very dedicated Christians, but they love and accept me as who I am. I've always been the different one for sure, growing up.
Yeah.
More wild and whatnot, but they always accepted me just for who I am, and they always, welcome me in like family. Yeah. So I have no problem with that.
I don't know if you saw that joke I made on Facebook not long ago that Christianity is just Jewish fan fiction.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah.
And some people got very, very, very upset. Very upset at that. And, it was comedy, it was satirical,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was just trying to have a little fun here. They started, poking fun at my beliefs, and I'm like, you don't have to be so aggressive about it. I was obviously...
Especially, if it's just a joke.
It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look at the book. But anyway, I digress.
It's all good. Well, on another topic, so I know we went off quite a bit on that. Another topic today, while this dude over here was out doing other things, before I went shopping, so I had to do a big grocery shopping trip.
It's funny how you do this, though. Always when I'm gone.
Oh, when I'm wondering?
Yeah. But anyway, keep going.
I'll tell you all this on the the podcast, because it's a heathen podcast. So I had a dream last night, and it wasn't really clear, but the only clear thing was it's whoever, I'm not saying Odin, came to me in my dreams. Could have been land spirits, or just maybe even my intuition or my subconscious. Maybe I needed to go out and wander. Whatever the case, the dream was I needed to go to the back end of town here in Corinth. I needed to go to the back end of it because there was something I needed to go and wander and see. And what I did was I drove to the back of Corinth, basically, and I ended up finding a Confederate siege trail. And we'll post pictures of it too, but I think it was in 1862? I might be wrong on that, but I have a picture of the trailhead and the dates and stuff on it. But the trail itself, they said it was about 1.8 miles, but I talked to a couple folks there. They said it was more than that. But I probably walked a mile in because I didn't want to spoil the rest, because next time he's coming with me. But it was so gorgeous. There was definitely something following me. I have no idea what it was, but it was beautiful. It had all these elements of biodiversity. You had parts of it in the forest that were, a bunch of pine trees, but also a lot of pine needles on the floor that were covering like the forest floor. And then some parts were super swampy, where it was a lot more green and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you see this body of, muddy water and stuff. And for me, I love the swamp. That's another big reason why I moved here in the first place, because it's the South and it's very swampy. So very beautiful place. I took a bunch of pictures. I took a video. I found some leaves that were, dwarfed my hands. My hands aren't necessarily like huge, but they're definitely not small. And the leaves that I saw, they might have been tropical plants, like at your mom's or something like that.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, so it was so gorgeous. again, guys, going outside is the most important, always. If you have a chance to go out and wander somewhere, like if a deity or God, a spirit is just telling you to go and wander, just go and do it. Be safe. I carried one of my bigger knives. Well, it's a pocket knife, but it's pretty big. But, yeah, guys.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all we have for the episode. Like, again, if you like the content, give us a like, a follow, subscribe. Check us out on all our social media, and you do all those things, and we'll be back to you next week.
Yeah, it's on, guys. It's on.
Yeah.
All right, you guys have a good night.